The movie opens with a little girl named Eve in a police station. She is holding a Ballerina musical glitter dome, and there is blood on her face. The scene then shifts to a flashback where we see Eve with her father Javier, who is an assassin and a Kikimora of the Ruska Roma. Eve's mother was also an assassin and belonged to a cult. Eve's mother betrayed the cult and fled, resulting in the cult killing her. At night, the Chancellor, leader of the cult, attacks Javier's house with his henchmen to retrieve Eve. Javier fights the Chancellor's henchmen and kills many of them. He then hides Eve in the library. Eve is watching Javier fight the Chancellor's henchmen from the library when the Chancellor arrives. The Chancellor takes out his pistol and loads a single bullet into it. He hands Javier that pistol and tells him, "Shoot yourself to save your daughter or kill me. If you kill me, you will die, and your daughter will too." Javier doesn't kill himself and fights the Chancellor's henchmen. Just then, the Chancellor also leaves. The Chancellor's henchman is about to kill Javier when Eve comes out of the library, picks up a gun, and shoots the Chancellor's henchman dead. Javier sets a timer bomb in his house. Then he and Eve try to get out of the house. Just then, a Chancellor's another henchman shoots Javier. Nevertheless, Javier manages to get Eve out of the house, and then the bomb explodes, destroying Javier's entire house. The Chancellor also thinks they all died in the bomb blast, so he leaves. Javier dies from a gunshot wound and Eve cries for him. Now the scene shifts to the present, where we see Winston approaching Eve. Winston is the enigmatic owner of the New York Continental Hotel and friend of John Wick. Winston brings Eve to the director, who is the leader of the Ruska Roma and a New York-based organization of ballerina assassins. The director tells Eve, "I know you. I can feel your pain. I will protect you, and you will stay here with me." Before leaving, Winston gives Eve a gold coin. He then says goodbye to Eve and leaves. Eve's mentor is Nogi. Nogi teaches Eve fighting and also how to handle a gun. And alongside this, Eve also learns ballerina dance. When Eve is fully ready, she goes to the director and tells her, "I am completely ready. Just give me one chance." The director brings Eve to an empty room where the old Kikimora is also brought. The old Kikimora tells Eve, "Do you know who I am? I am you." Then they both start assembling their guns, and Eve manages to assemble her gun first and kills the old Kikimora. After killing the old Kikimora, Eve becomes the new Kikimora of the Ruska Roma. Later, she also meets John Wick and tells him, "I want to get out of here. I want to be exactly like you." John advises her, "You have choice. Leave the path of violence." Eve's first contract is a woman named Katla, who is being targeted for capture by a man named Il Seong at a nightclub. Eve's job is to rescue Katla from the nightclub. Eve goes to the nightclub to complete her first contract. Meanwhile, Il Seong arrives with his henchmen and captures Katla. Eve sees Il Seong capturing Katla. She then fights Il Seong, and Il Seong's henchman overpowers them all and saves Katla. After Eve completes her first contract, the director gets a Ruska Roma tattoo on her back for identification. Eve then successfully carries out many contracts. One night, an assassin attacks Eve. Eve fights him and succeeds in killing him. Just then, her gaze falls upon the assassin's palm, which bears the scar of the cult, the same cult that had killed her father and mother. Eve cuts off the assassin's hand and comes to the director, telling her, "This assassin is from the same cult that killed my father. You knew about them, but you never told me anything." The director tells Eve that there is peace between the cult and us, and that she doesn't want a war because of her. She also warns Eve, saying, "You will never find them, and they are very dangerous. You shouldn't pursue them." Eve runs away from the director to avenge her father, and she goes to a Continental hotel and meets Winston. She tells Winston, "I need to know about those who killed my father and mother." When Winston refuses to tell her anything, Eve takes out a gold coin, gives it to Winston, and requests him to give her some information about them, to which Winston agrees. Winston calls the accountant, who tells him about the Chancellor's son Daniel, who has a $2 million bounty on his head and is located at the Prague Continental Hotel. Eve goes to Prague Continental Hotel and books a room near Daniel's room. Inside the Prague Continental, there is also an assassin named Lena who works for the Chancellor, along with many mercenaries who have come to kill Daniel. Outside the Prague Continental, there is also a Scarred Eye assassin who is keeping an eye on Daniel with a sniper rifle. The Scarred Eye assassin sees Eve sneaking into Daniel's room, and he informs Lena. Eve goes into Daniel's room and sees her daughter Ella there. Meanwhile, Daniel takes Eve at gunpoint. Eve tells Daniel, "The cult killed my father. I need to take revenge on them." Daniel tells Eve, "Those you're looking for have surrounded the hotel to kill me. When Eve doesn't kill Daniel, Lena increases the bounty from 2 to 4 million. Due to the increased bounty, mercenaries attack Daniel. Daniel and Eve fight the mercenaries and kill them. Then they exit the hotel. Outside, a cult assassin kills Daniel and captures Ella. Subsequently, Lena also punches Eve in the head, knocking her unconscious. Lena calls the Chancellor and tells him, "Ella is with me. I'm bringing her." She also informs the Chancellor that there was a woman there who was helping Daniel, but I've handed her over to the Prague manager. When Eve regains consciousness, she finds herself tied up with 2 mercenaries in front of the Prague manager. Eve tells the Prague manager, "I didn't break any rules. I didn't kill anyone." Just then, the Prague manager kills both mercenaries and tells Eve to leave. Eve goes to Frank, who is a high-end arms dealer based in Prague. Frank shows Eve the weapons. Meanwhile, the Chancellor's henchmen attack them. Eve fights the Chancellor's henchmen and kills them all. Frank tells Eve the Chancellor's location, which is a town. Eve arrives in town and goes into a bar. Meanwhile, the scarred eye assassin also enters the bar. He sees Eve and attacks her, and a very intense gunfight ensues between them. However, Eve shoots the scarred eye assassin in the head, killing him. The Chancellor's henchmen overpower Eve. Just then, Lena also arrives. She hits Eve in the head with a gun butt, knocking her unconscious. Then she checks Eve's back and finds a tattoo of Ruska Roma on Eve's back. Lena goes to the Chancellor and tells him, "I've caught her, and she's from Ruska Roma." The Chancellor meets Eve. Eve tells him, "You killed my father when I was a child. That's why I'm here to kill you, to avenge my father's death." The Chancellor recognizes her. The Chancellor tells Lena, "She's come to kill me because I killed her father a long time ago, and she's your sister." Meanwhile, Eve frees herself and kills some of the Chancellor's henchmen. Meanwhile, the Chancellor's henchman is about to shoot Eve from behind when Lena shoots the Chancellor's henchman. Eve then runs away from there, and Lena goes after her too. Eve snatches the gun from Lena. Then Lena tells Eve, "I am your sister. Dad left me here and he chose you." The Chancellor orders his henchmen to kill them both. The Chancellor's henchman throws many bombs into the house. The bombs explode and Lena dies in the bomb blast. The Chancellor calls the director and tells her, "Stop Eve as soon as possible or I will start a war with you." The director sends John Wick to the town to stop Eve. Eve fights John Wick and an extremely fierce fight ensues between them, but John Wick overpowers Eve. Just then, Eve pleads with John, "Let me take revenge on my father's killer." John Wick agrees. There are 28 minutes before the contract begins. So, he tells Eve, "You have 28 minutes to avenge your father." Eve then kills many of the Chancellor's henchmen. There's little time left before the contract begins, so John decides to help Eve. He shoots and kills one of the cult's assassins who is about to kill Eve. Then he fights the Chancellor's remaining henchmen and kills them all. The Chancellor gets into the car with Ella and tries to leave the town. On the way, Eve appears in front of the Chancellor's car and shoots at the Chancellor's car, which makes the driver stop the car. Eve kills the Chancellor's driver and then shoots and kills the Chancellor as well. As soon as Eve kills the Chancellor, John Wick calls the director and informs her that the Chancellor is dead. And the director breathes a sigh of relief because with the Chancellor's death, the war has been averted. Eve takes Ella to her father, who is at the Continental Hotel. The cult places a $5 million bounty on Eve, and Eve also finds out about it, and the movie ends here.